The What Podcast, which bands this year that matter. We are just days away from learning the lineup for 2023. Barry, Taco, very excited to see you guys. The anticipation mounting. Are you starting to shiver with anticipation? Are you quivering?
Yeah. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Oh, yeah. How was the holiday? What'd you guys do?
It was good. Yeah. We had a bunch of family events and had a toddler stay with us for a week.
Taco, you went to Barry's house.
Yeah. Yeah, he destroyed everything.
Yeah, I got into everything. Drank all his PBR.
Yeah.
We're
peed
still
everywhere.
recovering.
Yeah, peed everywhere.
That's right. Yeah, we're finding things in places we didn't know they could be put,
Including your butt.
Hey,
Yeah, exactly. Hey. Fair enough.
Fair enough. So what did you do, Taco? What was the holiday like?
I took the nephew down to the lake where my aunt lives and got on the boat. Got to ride the boat around.
Nice.
Boats and buses. This man has he's right in the pocket, isn't he? He never really changes, never really wavers.
Boats and hose.
Nice.
Yeah. When I think of you, that's the first few words that come to mind. Absolutely.
That's right.
How was everything up there?
You know, it's weird. I was just talking about this. I made a list. I just scribbled this morning when I woke up all the shows that I've seen since moving to New York. And I'm sure I'm going to miss some of them, but it's somewhere like 48. And, you know, I'm not trying to say that, oh, look at me. But there's this thing of, I know that it's difficult for some people, and that's why, you know, they love Bonnaroo and go to Bonnaroo every year or Coachella, etc. But man, when you have access to all of these shows up here, it really does, you know, change your perspective on, you know, going to these festivals. I can't imagine if I went to all of these shows how much this would cost me. I have no idea how much this would cost me, but it's a lineup, right? It is a festival lineup that, you know, you look around, and if you ask me to spend $300 on this, that's a steal. It's an absolute steal.
I know. It's nuts. I've thought about that. You know, when it sounds like you said, it sounds like you're bragging or whatever, but it's like, oh, I've seen them. You know, saw that show. It's incredible. The number of bands and acts that you get to see at a festival. That's
speaking of, you know, I brought up Coachella. Did you say that there was a Coachella rumor? I feel like we should have had the Coachella lineup by now.
I thought I'm looking at a story that.
This was the thing that came out this morning about Drake. And the okay, I remember. I saw
Bad
this.
Bunny.
Yeah.
Yep. So
I feel like Coachella lineup is quite late. I always feel like we get it sometime around, you know, the 1st of December. Am I wrong about that?
That I don't remember.
Yeah.
It seems like, you know, around this time they start coming, as we know, as we're going to probably
it's always before Bonnaroo. It's always before Bonnaroo. And based on our chat with Corey and Brad, they basically told us when the lineup's coming out, and we've got, 10, 12 days. We're looking at with probably January 12th. So, yeah, I'm kind of surprised if Bonnaroo gets a lineup out before Coachella. I don't know when the last time that has happened. Has that happened before? Maybe I'm crazy here.
Not that I remember.
Okay.
Let's see. Is it going to be the 12th?
Yeah, I think that's what they told us. We just go.
Yeah,
you know what?
That's a Thursday.
If you want,
Thursday's the 12th.
Or it's the 10th. It's always be the Tuesday the 10th.
It's going to be a Tuesday.
Yeah, it's Tuesday the 10th. Yeah. So, best idea is just go back and listen to the episode with Brad and Corey. They tell us when it's coming out. So we could just do that. It'd be a lot easier.
Actually, if I remember right, you told us and they didn't deny.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
So we can take that however you want.
I also asked them about Taylor Swift, and they did deny.
They did.
Okay, just making sure.
Rather quickly.
Yeah. Excited this week. We'll talk a little bit about Bonnaroo and some rumors and ideas and speculations here in a little bit. But we have a special guest today that if you went through the lineup of guests that we've had on the show, they would be probably our 3-night headliner. You know, they'd play 3 shows because they not only are our house band, but also very good friends, and I think still hold the record, and it's just going to add it to the overall count today, the overall record of most podcast appearances. Aren't they top of our list?
They're up there.
Yeah.
I think that's why their band name is Repeat Repeat, because they're repeat guests.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Repeat.
Yeah.
The kids of Repeat, Jared and Kristyn Repeat are our guests today for a lot of reasons, mostly because, they have a new album out, but we haven't talked to them all season, all last year. We didn't have them on the show once.
I was going to say mostly because we like them.
Yeah.
That's what.
And they're fun.
Yeah. They're a lot of fun. And we'll talk about it when they come on, but they are as much a part of our show as anybody, really. In their own way.
They're the fourth. They're the fourth and fifth hosts.
Pretty much, yeah.
You hear their music every time we come on. Yeah.
Yeah, and they did our theme song.
I love these guys.
And I'll talk about the theme song here in a second. Let's step away for a second. When we come back, repeat our guests on the What Podcast. And there's Jared's crotch.
How exciting.
Hi.
Look at these beautiful faces.
Can you hear us?
Coming in hot here.
You are coming in really hot.
Oh, good.
How are you guys?
Oh, we are good. Just dialing in everything.
Wait a second. Are you in the studio? Is this the famed studio on the hill?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wow, look at
Okay.
that.
Christmas tree.
Look at that. Awesome.
First off, take us around the studio. Explain the new space, because it's fully outfitted now, right?
It's fully outfitted, yes. I'm worried that if I unplug my laptop that...
No, you don't have to do that. That's okay. You
Signal.
don't have to do that. Just tell me about it. Tell me about the room. It's so pretty. It's so well done.
It's like a 600 square foot cabin in the woods that also sleeps like 8, so you can come from out of town and make a record and stay for a week or more. And it's awesome. It's like our little getaway for us to make music and for other artists to come and make music. And we have this amazing view that's like hundreds and hundreds of acres, faces sunset. And it's up here in the Tennessee foothills. It's great.
We saw it. I saw the drone thing that you put out. Oh my God. How dreamy is that space? How dreamy is that view?
Yeah.
We lived here for 2.5 years before we ever saw the view. So once we saw the view, we knew we had to do something with it. And then the pandemic sort of helped guide us into what we would be doing with it. And that is making music from home.
Yeah.
So, now we just come up here every day and see what we can.
All right. So the walk from the house to the hill. You know, how many like barnyard animals do you have to dodge as you get?
Approximately 4.
Okay.
Well, on our property, and then we have neighbors that have a rooster and chickens and cows and everything like that. There's crows up here and deer. We have a family of deer that live up here. So at any given moment, it's like a Disney movie. It's like Bambi walking by or something.
Yeah.
It's really good. Seriously, there was like a baby deer that grew up here, and so I'd have artists up here, and like at any given moment, be like, "Oh my God, there's like a
He's getting
baby."
big.
Yeah, it's wild. I've had artists that have made records over the last like 6 months that have watched this baby deer grow up because every time they come out, he's like a little bit bigger.
Do you feel like you're constantly entertaining though when you have people on the property at all times? It feels like you gotta constantly it's like you're running an Airbnb.
It's less like entertaining because we built the studios. It used to feel a little bit more like that when my studio was out of our house. But
okay.
Now it's nice because there's like separation. So at any point I can be like, I'm gonna go make lunch, and I can just leave and go do my own thing for a minute. So it's nice. And then when artists come from out of town and stay for a while, like they get to have their own little place to stay. So it feels a lot less like entertaining and more like I'm coming in on their territory.
Okay.
It's good.
How much is it used by you versus other artists?
Well, I mean, I'm up here every day. I spend about half the week mixing and then the other half producing. But I mean, this last year I had artists here almost 6 days a week. It felt
Wow.
like, yeah, and then just mixing in my off time. So
Are they mostly Nashville artists, or are they coming from all over?
it's about
All over. The first band that stayed overnight was here from Omaha. So, yeah.
And then West Virginia, and some people come and stay from Nashville. It's only an hour drive from Nashville, so there's artists that there's not a lot of studios, I feel like, where you get to come and record, but also kind of just like clear your mind. And it's a shorter drive than going to like Gatlinburg or something. So it's nice. You feel far enough away from the city, but you're close enough that you could get home in time for dinner.
Well, what is it? And you might be able to say it as somebody who's recorded there, but I wonder how it changes somebody from out of town's writing perspective and how they start hearing things a little bit differently. Phoenix, they wrote their last album at the Louvre.
Right.
And they recorded it inside and I can't imagine that didn't change the way that they, wrote, listened back, produced, etc.
We've had a lot of people say that coming out here has sort of reawakened something creative in them. I think just because there aren't a lot of places outside of Nashville that you can, unless your friend owns a place, there's not like really any other kind of built-in like artist kind of retreat sort of thing. So we've had a lot of people come out, and just the fact that they can't see neighbors and there's no light pollution and no noise, they're just sort of forced to. I mean, we do have like a projector and Roku in here, but nobody really watches it because that's not really what they're here to do. So people kind of like zen out, I feel like.
Yeah.
And then it makes them feel more creative. At least like there have been a few people that have been recurring artists that have recorded out here several times over the last year, and they've just sort of been like, wow, I feel completely renewed.
I tried to base the studio and the work I do off of all the experiences I've had in studios since I was a teenager, the good ones and the bad ones. And I tried to think about like what were the things that I didn't like so much about recording in other studios. And while there are plenty of studios in Nashville that have really amazing gear, I have found that so much of it doesn't really matter about the gear. So much of it matters about the vibe is the most important thing. And all my favorite producers are the same way, So I think that a big element of it is that, I was trying to think when we built it, like what can we offer that maybe other studios in Nashville can't offer? And so many studios I've recorded in have either been in somebody's basement or have been in like a strip mall, and so doesn't really give you a lot to look at and take in. And so I think like that is a huge thing that at least we can bring to the
but
table.
you can get your nails done.
Exactly.
Do a little shopping.
Exactly.
You can get lunch, and one of the things we do out here, since it is so isolated, is we have a stocked snack kitchen. That's something that we've never had in other studios, and we would find ourselves sitting, in other studios for 12 and 14-hour days wishing we had brought food. So out here, we sort of eliminate that and have a stacked snack cabinet.
Yeah.
Okay, let's family feud this. Number one snack on the board is what?
Oh, Velveeta's. Dark chocolate Velveeta's.
That's the weirdest answer, but
I'm
yeah.
addicted.
If you gave me 1,000, that is not what I was gonna say.
We're like being on a flight.
Like,
it's like they
tell
give those out on like airplanes.
Tell me there's a cookie that you're supposed to eat for breakfast, and I'm in. So.
Nice. It's so interesting this because I've so many different bands and interviews and artists. It changes. I think I can't remember who I was talking to some artist not that long ago, and they said we recorded in a house because I didn't want to be in a studio because I didn't want it to feel like we were going to work every day and clocking in. And then I've had others who say I wanted to go into a studio because I wanted that professional feeling and sound and all that. So
I do think it changes
all over the place,
like,
right?
I mean, even
Depending on the
among
record.
us, like it's unlikely that we'll never record anything else in a fancy studio, just because there's a time and place for all of that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, also this is now my work. So I was telling Kristyn, like our next record, I want to kind of go into a different studio and work with some other producers because we just put out a 27 song
Yeah,
record.
I was about to say your
And-
next
and
record. You put
I
out
mean-
a record that's good enough for 5 years.
Right. Well, and I made it all here, and so it's like now this is work. So it's like after like 8-10 hours in the studio with another artist, the last thing I want to do is come back up here and do it for myself. I'd rather go in another environment or like with some other people. So I think it's just time and place. You know, there's times where I feel most creative just in my element here, and there's times where I feel most creative kind of getting out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the album here in a second. But first, how was the holiday? How have you guys
Good.
been doing?
We're still very clearly in holiday mode. I don't think we had to remind ourselves what day of the week it was today. My mom is here from Texas.
Yeah, we were watching a movie in bed until like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So we're very much
Covered in
relaxing.
animals. And,
Yeah, we're still holidaying.
Nice.
What movie was it?
Oh God,
It's called Triangle of Sadness, and it is.
That's lovely morning.
It's
a lovely
actually-
morning,
it's
easy
not
watch.
sad.
Brad, you would like it a lot.
It's kind of like a twisted Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's really good.
That's you, me, and Barry, the Triangle of Sadness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there we go.
It's good. It's got Woody Harrelson in it.
It's so weird because I'm watching the Triangle of Sadness in my rectangle of sadness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. You would like it. It's really what's the word? Light.
It's like quirky.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you guys made pandemic and quarantine cool before like pandemic and quarantine, living out there in the woods with the animals. Did you get into any like the glass onion stuff? Have you like how much are you binging? Are you watching like every television show that ever existed?
Well,
No, we were really late to White Lotus, but we did finally join that party over this break.
yeah.
Okay.
So I feel a little bit mainstream now that we've done that one.
Yeah.
But like we've never seen Game of Thrones and stuff like that, for example.
Me neither.
So-
Not one
Yeah.
second.
What's the one that everybody really likes? With the guy from Saturday Night Live. That's on
where
Apple.
he's a coach.
Yeah, where he's a coach.
Oh, Ted Lasso.
Oh,
Yeah, so like I have to remind myself
Yeah.
because sorry if y'all like Ted Lasso, but we watched like 2 episodes. I was like, and the other
Jared.
one, I know,
Jared.
So
It's
Like, I'm not gonna lie.
incredible.
so yeah,
Too sweet? What is it?
yeah,
Too sweet for
I'm
you?
I'm too bitter. I think
He can't get into like
that's why you would like Triangle of Sadness, Brad, because it's
he can't get into like Schitt's
Need some
Creek or
angst.
any of those shows. So
Yeah.
You don't even do a Schitt's Creek?
No, I think
No.
we're only partial bingers.
Oh my god.
yeah. So when Kristyn was
Wow.
like, I would think we should like watch this show. Everybody's been talking about it, and I'm like, everybody's been talking about Ted Lasso. So you know that's not a basis
Yeah.
that I can go off of. It's not for lack of wanting. We've tried to get into that and
Well-
Game of Thrones and all of it, but I don't know. We just have a weird taste. We like really dystopian things, really like really super quirky things, and we like documentaries. We're
I'm not a-
hipsters.
Well, Brad mentioned it. I highly recommend The Glass Onion, just if for no other reason because of Janelle
I do
Monáe.
not.
She is
This
so
movie's
good.
stupid.
Okay.
It is so stupid.
I-
It is so dumb.
I don't disagree, but she
We really
is
like
terrific.
Knives
And-
Out,
They
but
were doing
Yeah, Knives Out was great. I like
Okay.
I like that a lot better, but this one is just goofball bullshit.
Okay.
It is so dumb. But I had this hard and fast rule that I don't suggest things to people, right? I don't like giving people you've got to watch it, because not only am I putting like at risk your time, but also if you don't like it, how does that reflect back on me? It all comes back to me. But I will say I have been out of control in love with this show called Fleischman is in Trouble.
yeah, I've heard it's very good.
I am out of my mind about this show. I've never seen it's the best show I've seen since Breaking Bad. And there's nothing that has perfectly described a midlife crisis or written, tragic divorce better than this show. It's out of control. Incredible. Out of control.
We're really into Secession. We really like that one. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, but like TV is the only medium where you can be like, you got to get into this series, and it's like you just have to give it a few episodes, and it's like each episode's like an hour fucking long, and it's like no other medium works like that. It's not like, oh, this Metallica album is terrible. No, you got to listen to it for like 4 hours, and then you'll love it.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't work in any other art medium.
Wait, you're telling me I have to read The Great Gatsby 7 times before I really get it? Okay, I'll do it.
Right.
Yeah. Listen to it again. That's a good point.
So the holiday was good. You have family in town now. We haven't talked to you in a year, so I guess this whole year has been, writing 250 songs and then putting them all out at once, huh?
Yeah. They
What did you leave out?
Yeah, we did leave out a few. It's usually my songs we leave out because I'm like not into them by the time it's time for them to come out. I like them when we record them, and then I'm not into them by the time they come out.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting.
We realized
That's how I dated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We realized pretty quickly at just kind of wrapping up the year that between our music and the music that I've worked on in the studio, we had a song that either we recorded or that we had a hand in producing come out at least 1, if not 2 a week, every week for the whole year. So that was kind of a
Jesus.
a crazy,
It was
That is a lot.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
That's it. Yeah. Literally today.
And a video.
Yeah, one of the artists I work with, she was like, "I'm surprising everybody with the release today." I had thought all the songs had come out for the year. I was like, "Cool. I don't have to do any more promotion for a few more days." And then I'm like, "Oh shit! Like I gotta make a post about that." Like she just released a song that I recorded and whatever came out today. So it's like, yeah, it's fun.
Are you gonna Easy Eye Sound this? Are you gonna turn this into like a Dan Auerbach Easy Eye Sound thing?
I mean,
And start pressing your own vinyl on the farm?
that would be cool. I mean, sometimes people ask if I wanted to like start a label, but that's the last thing I want to do. But I just want to help. I want to make records and whatever that looks like. So
It's funny when this record came out, Brad sent Taco and I a text and said, "Repeat, releasing an album today." I said, "Are they going to do it on vinyl?" He said, "No, it's like 27."
Yeah, I don't think this is gonna be on vinyl.
Yeah.
It's going to be an 8-record set.
Yeah, we really just needed a place to put all this, it's like 2020 through 2022, if you sort of consider that the pandemic years collectively, like we just needed kind of a place for all of that stuff to funnel towards so that we can shift creatively. Even just the aesthetic of like the single artwork that I was doing, that I started doing in 2020, not having any idea we would have so many by the end. I told Jared, like, I gotta do something different. All of this stuff. I didn't know we were gonna have, almost 30 songs in the same, style.
Same palette.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, exactly. So we both just kind of feel ready to like shift. This record had very specific like purposes for us in that each song is sort of some exercise in something we wanted to try. So each song is either inspired by, one of our favorite songs from other bands, or it's something we wanted to try production-wise, or...
I use the record as my, basically like my portfolio to learn how to produce records. So every song, there's like a technique that I wanted to try. So it's like, there's a song on the record that was like I'm going to try wall of sound here. And there's a technique that's like, there's a song on the record that's like, I'm going to try using like analog reverb or whatever. So every song was a way for me to experiment on myself so that I could learn how to do that for other artists. And so it was really fun to get, because there was a lot less pressure, I think, because it was just like, oh, if I fuck this up, it's just our music, I don't know. It's like, it's fun to just like mess with things. And then that way, now when bands come in, they're like, I want to have the wall of sound thing or whatever, like I have a little bit more knowledge on it.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. And it's hard to interrupt you, Brad, because when I was listening to it, that's the phrase that kept kind of coming through my own head was, y'all had some shit to work out. And whether it was musically or lyrically or whatever, it just feels like you were working a lot of stuff out.
Yeah, well, in the beginning, a lot of it was Jared working out, like, a career change via lyrics, your sort of life change between touring all the time and making music from home, and just kind of that transition as an artist. I think a lot of the songs were sort of...
Well, our last tour before the pandemic was playing a month of arenas with with Modest Mouse and the Black Keys. So we played that, and then the year ended, and then the pandemic hit, and everything shut down for 2 years. So rather quickly, I had to realize, what do I want the next chapter of my life to look like? And, I felt like I could use this time to really hone in some other skills and see what else I could bring to the table as an artist.
Well, you just mentioned the Black Keys and Modest Mouse tour. Coming off of that and then into COVID, that could breed a lot of insecurity. And to think that you were so confident to say, you know what, let's just do a bunch of stuff that I don't know how to do and see what happens. And then on top of it, put it out into the world, not just once, but twice.
Yeah.
You got two versions of all these things too. So, the lack of insecurity in a lot of this is it's just an audacious project, and I give you a lot of credit for it. It's and plus, you know me, and I've told you this since the moment this is the best you guys have sounded since since the beginning. I think this album is fantastic. You know, every song that you've ever sent me, every song that I've listened to, it just feels like it's getting better and better and better and better.
Thank you. I will say there was and still is always a lot of insecurity. But
Yeah.
I think what helped a lot for us was the most terrifying moment, I think, for us was putting out the first song post our last record, Glazed, because our last record we worked with the Black Keys on, and Michelle Branch sang on it, and it brought us a lot of accolades and got debuted in Billboard and everything like that. And so to have all of these things, and then over the pandemic record a song basically in my living room, and we had Kristyn sing lead on it. And
What song was it, by the way? For Leaving You?
No, For Leaving You was like the first big single we released that we
Okay.
had sort of like a push behind and like real intention. But in 2020, just as a we're still a band kind of little touch point, we released Wind in My Sail, which was really, always. We were just in always
Channeling
mode.
Always,
I mean, we're
yeah.
really always in the band always mode. But at that particular time, we were like, let's make a song like that, like kind of that.
Right. So that was a
jangly-
big change for us because Kristyn was singing lead, and it was the first song I had ever produced for us. And I was pretty nervous about it because I was like, what if we put this out and people were like, this sounds terrible, the production is terrible, and coming off of the hills of working with a famous producer and in a big studio or whatever, I just felt really inadequate. But I was like, I just got to put it out there and we'll see what happens. And, it was, as the pandemic hit too, just everything shut down. We had changed management and agents and labels. And so we were fresh on the heels of a new team. And I remember we put it out, didn't really hear anything. So I was like, no, bad news is good news. And then a few days later, I was mowing my lawn, and someone was like, oh, your song is playing on Sirius XM on All Nation. And I was like, oh, what song? And I looked, and it was the song that I had recorded in our living room. And then it got added to playlists on Spotify and all of this stuff. And we that was a really reaffirming moment. And honestly, that has been kind of the overarching theme, is that it never mattered who we worked with or what gear we used. What mattered was we just started really writing from the heart, and just we got to this point where we realized if we don't feel something about the music, then we can't expect other people to. So we only try to put out music that made us feel something. And
you kind of just answered what I was going to ask. What have you learned?
One thing
I
we
mean,
learned
from working with
is to not to have as few B-sides as humanly possible, because one thing we learned is when you have a whole team and a label, you don't always get to choose what your singles are. And so for previous music, we didn't agree on those choices quite often. So we learned that if that's the way that we have to do professional music, then we better just not have any B-sides and be comfortable with any song sort of being pushed up. And so that is one thing that we spent more time on these songs than we had in the past. We came back to them sometimes, and we didn't used to do that. Glazed we did just on the spot, right then and there, and it really made us wonder, well, what would we make if we didn't have to do it in this 12-hour day between 10 a.m. and
and there's also something powerful that I have learned about like leaving stuff on the chopping block or on the cutting room floor or whatever, because there are a handful of songs that I can think of off the top of my head where we had our drummer come out from Nashville, and we recorded it, mixed it, wrote the lyrics, got all the way to the finish line, and then realized, like, is this song doing anything for you? And Kristyn would be like, not really. And I'd be like, not really either. And we would just be like, let's just put it in a folder and let it sit. I mean, we'll come back to it maybe later. But there's something powerful about that, because I think oftentimes you're trying to hit some quota of
you're trying to hit an every 2-year album cycle.
Or something, yeah.
Whatever.
And so...
Well, it's lovely to hear you describe it that way, considering what could have been left on the cutting room floor is a little song called Aquarius. That I gotta be honest with you, I was stunned that made it.
Blown
because
away.
The fact that you put in horns just for me.
Yeah.
We got a kick out of that.
Yeah.
No, but see, that's a good example of what this record was. We didn't take ourselves too seriously. We wanted to try things. We wanted to, like, we love Cage the Elephant. Let's make a record like repeat, or let's make a song that like repeat, kind of Cage the Elephant style or whatever. We just got to try things and not take ourselves too seriously, and we took ourselves very seriously, I think. Before that.
Yeah.
Well, we're tremendously honored. We're tremendously honored.
We are beyond. I mean, I think I'm speaking for Taco and Brad. I mean, that for you guys to have done that for us, first of all, is amazing. It's such a great song, and I love every time I hear it. And about every 4th or 5th episode, I'll be like, damn, that's good. I can't believe that's our theme song. And then for it to be on this record that's
actually the only part of the podcast I ever listen back to.
That's fair.
I just
once Brad starts talking, I'm done.
I have no anymore interest.
That's fair.
We really tried to think on that song of like the feeling you get. We're obviously huge Bonnaroo fans. We attended Bonnaroo many years before we got to play Bonnaroo, which will forever be. Hopefully it's not our last time to play Bonnaroo, but it will forever be a huge beloved memory for us. But we really, when you guys gave us that challenge, we were honored to accept it and felt like we could really kind of dig deep and figure out what the like real feel of Bonnaroo and you guys and just hanging out there in that community was. And not unlike our other stuff, it turned out very lush and I think kind of psychedelic 60s-ish.
You nailed it. It's absolutely nailed it.
Yeah.
Absolutely nailed it. The other song that I think gets a lot of attention, at least right now on the album, is Adult Friend Finder. I don't think you probably anticipated that part, did you? Did you anticipate that this would be the one that became like the standout track in the early days of the album release?
No, absolutely not. The story behind that was we were really into Peach Pit's song Shampoo Bottles, and we were like, and then we went to a wedding of one of my very close friends. But I feel like as you get older, your friends group, everyone moves away, it's like, I remember we went to the wedding and I was like, half of my best friends growing up in college, like, I don't even know what they do for work anymore. Or, like one of them is expecting a kid and I didn't really know that until we went. And it's just like the fact that you know these people so well over the course of a handful of years. And then as you get older and life changes and everything, it's just how you grow apart, but still, I could call any one of them at any moment and they would be there for me. Just that weird kind of dynamic. So I wrote that song about that. And one of the producers we worked with is a guy named Gregory Latimer, and he worked on Albert Hammond Jr. records and Aaron Lee Tasjan and a bunch of other people. And he did our first 2 records, Bad Latitude and Floral Canyon. And he had just done something with this guy named John Congleton, who's this like big producer, worked with like Always and Angel Olsen, St. Vincent. And so he had also worked with Peach Pit. So we were like, by way of John Congleton, like Gregory probably would have some insight on that like Peach Pit sound. So it would be fun to work with Gregory again because we hadn't worked with him in a few years. So I hit him up and I was like, hey, I've got this song, very Peach Pitty, and I thought maybe you'd have some good insight on it. So we went to his studio and recorded
It was
there.
the last song. So
It was the last
Oh,
song
wow.
on
yeah, it was the
record.
last song that we did, and we had already had all the singles planned out. So this one was not tagged as a single. It truly was just the focus track
When the record
for
came
us
out.
to release. You know, I mean, you have to say something as a focus track so that
Yeah.
in the chance that, you know, something gets playlisted, they know what song to go for.
Right.
So it wasn't even really like a single in our minds. It was just sort of like, we're about to wrap up the record. Let's do this fun thing with Gregory and kind of throw it in there. And since it was one of the ones we hadn't released as a single, it just became the natural focus track. But then I don't think, you know, once we sort of clicked, that's the focus track. I don't think we thought anything else
Love it.
about like anyone even picking up on the fact that it was sort of isolated. But then
Yeah.
what tends to happen, or what has happened a few times in the last year, is the ones that kind of go on their own path often are because they're premiered by Regan.
Yeah,
At,
All Nation.
Yeah, at All Nation. And every now and then he'll just kind of go,
Pick one of
I
the-
love this song. And
Yeah.
next thing we know, it's become a bigger song than we knew or
I
had
had
intended.
I had dinner with him the other night, and you guys came up. He's a big fan.
Wow.
He's a very big fan.
We don't really know what we did
Nice.
to deserve that, but every time he sort of is picking up what we're putting down, we feel just completely full
Yeah.
of gratitude. So
I feel like in this industry, I mean, you just never know what is going to click with people and why. So, you know, it's like that song, like Kristyn was saying a minute ago, like we just don't put out anything that we would be bummed if it didn't do well. So when it started picking up traction, we were just like, oh, what a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
It certainly wasn't the one we would have put our bets on, but yeah.
Well, I mean, but with now with the album and you know, the studio and now post quarantine, are you guys trying to get back on the road and do shows again? Is that part of, you know, the plan for next year, or are you pretty content just sort of hanging out the house?
No.
I'm going to let Jared
I had a
take this
feeling.
one.
I had a feeling.
There are some bands that really bring their audience through playing shows, and there are some bands that really bring their audience through releasing music. And I think we're just one of those that
I think we're in our Brian Wilson phase where everyone else is
Yeah.
touring.
Well, you got a sandbox in there in the living
Everyone else
room.
is touring and sort of, you know, gaining 3 fans at a time. And we have done that, I mean, for many years. Like, I'm not one of those people that like, I feel like touring hard is a rite of passage for a band. I feel like when you skip that stage, or when you just get
Yeah.
like a radio hit and get to skip all of the grueling touring years. I mean, not for every genre, of course, like pop's a little different and stuff like that, but for rock and indie rock and stuff, I feel like you really have to kind of go through that. And we toured hard. I mean, in 2018, we spent more days gone than we did here.
yeah.
So I think, you know, then 2019 was a busy year with the Black Keys and Modest Mouse tour. And then,
Well,
I don't know.
not to mention, we have a lot of friends that got back on the road pretty quickly,
Right.
and have canceled shows because, you know, people can't afford to go out to see them, or have canceled shows because of mental health, because they weren't prepared to go back out, or because of the cost to keep a band on the road. Not to mention, I think I realized over the last year that touring is pretty much the least creative time you get to have as an artist, because you're just every day you're doing interviews, and then you're regurgitating the songs that you're promoting what you had already put out, but you're not getting to be creative in the sense of, like, you know, you have a show that you've practiced for months, and it's just you
Yeah.
kind of like regurgitating that. And I think there's important moments for that, but I get to spend every single day with a a new person sitting in the studio getting to just make art. And if they're not in here, I'm in here making art for myself. So I've never gotten to be this creative in my life.
I love that.
I mean, shit.
love that.
Even if you're
Yeah.
working at a fucking coffee shop while you're a struggling artist, you half the time you're daydreaming about whatever you're doing and writing lyrics on napkins or whatever. But
When you're
touring
driving
is
from Denver to Kansas City.
right when you're sitting in a van with a bunch of guys and you're getting no sleep and eating shitty food. It's like you really don't get to be your creative self. And I feel like I'm spoiled now. I get to just be,
Yeah, but there's a time and place in somebody's life for that kind of stuff, and you guys have you've done it, and now you want to be at home.
We won't not tour again.
One of-
Like, I think I have this, I don't know, just this underlying fear that, like, the band is going to keep going. It's not like we're going to stop making music and stop being repeat or whatever. But I think we just have kind of earned for ourselves the right to do it a little bit differently for a second.
Yeah, I mean, you put out in a world of singles, you put out an album with 27 tracks.
Yeah.
You're doing it your way. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it will make
One of
our
my-
touring more purposeful. Like,
Yeah.
I think, we used to tour for different reasons. Like, we should, or this is, or like, we just released an album and we should immediately be touring. But should we? Like, how do we know that? How do we know? How can we
Right.
really quantify that, like, there's going to be people there? So we've kind of.
What's
feel
my
more
return
like,
on investment?
Yeah, exactly. So we kind of
Yeah.
feel more like, I'll tell you what, when our return is like blaring us and, like
Right.
knocking on the door, then it'll be easy for us to see and we'll get back out there. But I think
Well, and the studio's booked until the spring anyway. So if we
Wow.
unless we get
Oh,
offered
wow.
some amazing show or gig, I would have to cancel making records. I mean, I'm booked solid until April. So we couldn't even. Our booking agent doesn't love that, but it's like if I get paid for people to come here to my property and make music all day. So I'm like, why would I want to?
And guess how many percentages other people take from that?
yeah.
Right.
And guess how many donkeys are on
Exactly.
the road?
Right.
One of my favorite interview answers, and I don't remember who it was, but we were talking about they had a hit record and were getting ready to do their second album. And, there's the sophomore jinx and we were talking about that whole creative thing. You've just now spent 14 months on the road and how do you write a song? And he said, yeah, nobody cares that your bus driver's having a bad day. That's not a
Yeah,
good song.
but when you are the bus,
but that's
but
all
when
you
are
know.
the bus driver, then
Yeah.
the song might be okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, the other thing that I was going to ask you guys, because you're such a major part of the Nashville music scene, what were your thoughts on the Exit In closing and subsequent
Reopening?
destruction? Yeah, and now going away forever.
I hate to say that my initial reaction is that at this point we feel pretty used to it. I mean,
Yeah.
not that Exit In is a huge deal. It's a legendary venue. We played a sold out show opening for Glass Animals there many years ago. We played several shows there. So
Did they not announce a new owner?
they did announce a new.
Did they?
I think they did.
Just the other day.
You would know better than I. I'm not plugged into it, but if
It was like 48 hours ago. They did announce a new
oh really?
group. Yeah, that is taking over.
Very interesting. Okay. Wait, I thought that. Am I wrong about this? Wasn't your Halloween show at Exit In every year? Didn't you do it there, or was it somewhere else?
It was actually at the Crying Wolf in East Nashville.
Oh, that's right.
And they
That's
also
right. That's
closed.
right.
They
So
also
that's
closed.
sort of to your point is that we're at this point now. I mean, we've been in Nashville for 13 years maybe. So Crying Wolf is the place that we used to do our Halloween show for 7 years straight, and they closed last year. So not that Exit In is just another one on the chopping block at all, but I will say as far as like how we sort of take the news these days is I think we kind
Yeah.
of expect it, to be honest.
So much has changed
It's
in Nashville. It feels
sad-
like a
sad to
different
hear.
city. Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's all.
But that's a story of every city in the country, though.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, I came here from Austin, so I feel like I'm just watching the same thing happen that happened.
Kristyn,
where I grew up, happened here.
Kristyn, I didn't know you were from Austin.
I'm from-
Why did I not know that?
Yeah, I'm from like Katy, and then half my family moved to Austin, so I spent most of my like college years coming back to Austin and.
Well, I will say that is the two things about this. Well, not the two things. Those two cities are so incredibly alike because they've become just a big J. Crew.
Yeah.
Everybody looks the same, wearing the same dumb hat. They're all just living the same sort of existence, and it feels odd to be in. Last time, I used to love Austin, and I love ACL Fest, and that city was so fantastic, especially being so close to New Orleans there for a while. But last time I went, first off, the homelessness is completely out of control, and that's coming from a guy that lived in New Orleans. The homelessness is out of control, but secondly, it just feels paralyzing and suffocating, the fact that everyone looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
And they're all just sort of doing the same thing.
I think
And Nashville's sort of getting there.
When you're in it city, right, the thing that everybody loves about it, then they sort of embrace and become, and then it just becomes this giant, massive sameness. I mean, there was a scene. I mean, it's funny you said the Nashville music scene, and there's part of me that thought, like, is there even really like much of a scene anymore? And I know that sounds so like old.
Well, you would be the one to ask.
Old and
is there?
frumpy, but it's just, you know, no, I don't really think that there is much of one. I think that there's just so much newness and so many people coming from different places trying to figure out what to do that it's created a lot of disconnect. And then of course the increase in housing costs, you know, like East Nashville used to be all artists and musicians, and you know, we moved an hour away. So what does that tell you? You know, we were right in the thick of it for many years and had to move an hour away to like create the life that we wanted, you know.
Man, Barry, what did you learn about? Did you look up the Exit In thing?
Yeah, in November they said a new group looks like would be.
Man, I
taking
missed
over
all of
and would
that.
try to
I missed all.
run it now.
See, there's this thing like I have become. I don't know what happened, but since moving here, I have never been more disconnected from literally everything.
Yeah.
I moved to the center of the world, and now I'm disconnected from everything. I have no earthly idea what's going on.
On the
ever.
flip end, move to the middle of nowhere, and the same thing happens. Because that's, I mean, I work here and I live here, and so I don't ever.
I felt legitimately like upset with myself last night. A friend of ours said, "Man, I cannot believe this Idaho murder thing," and I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I look up this morning and I'm like, oh my God, what have I been doing? If it doesn't like come across for the 5 seconds that I'm on Instagram or the 5 seconds I'm on Twitter, I just don't know it happens.
Or like the Andrew Tate thing or whatever. I think that's his name. And there was some meme that was like, I have no idea who this guy is, but let's get him. You know what I mean? That was facing me. I was like, yeah, that dude sucks. But I don't know. I don't know if he's an auto mechanic or a podcaster or an influencer. I don't know what he does. I don't know who he is. But I'm like, cool, get him. I don't know, whatever.
I swear to God, hand to God, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Right,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I
know
don't
what
know
I'm
who
in.
to
Let's
do.
get him.
Yeah, let's get him.
But you're
Now
on board, right?
Yeah,
Canceled.
yeah.
Canceled.
I know.
Yeah. I want him gone.
Okay, cool. I don't know. We deleted our Twitter because
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
it was partially just when Twitter got crazy, but partially because we were on there for 7 years and couldn't get more than.
Twitter was not good to us.
Yeah,
So when the day it got like really weird, the first day it got weird, Jared was like, let's just get rid of it. And I was like, I mean, it hasn't done us any favors. And we just deleted
And
it.
honestly, getting rid of one of the between that and what is it, Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, but getting rid of one of them was like so freeing, not having that one less thing to check.
But Twitter was my news source, which is sort of
It
where
is,
I'm
yeah.
getting back to Brad, is like, I now feel like I have no idea what's going on because we took that one medium
Oh,
away
yeah.
that was my one news source,
Nice.
which I don't know what that says about me, but I'm having to find news elsewhere. And
I tell you, the once like the daily freak out of Trump left our lives, I don't really engage in this anymore. And the other thing too is about Twitter is the only reason I'm on it. I love Twitter, to be totally frank, but I like it mostly because I am streaming sports. Like I'm a Washington, then Redskins, now Commanders fan. So I have to watch the stream backward. Like I'm behind 10, 15, 20 seconds. I use Twitter mostly just on Sundays to get the play that happened. So I don't that's about to be shown to me. That's really the only reason I'm on this social media app. And I say this to everybody, and Taco knows this better than anyone. I love Snapchat. Snapchat's the best social media on the planet. It's the best app that you can have because it's completely controllable by you. Mm-hmm. You control all of your intake and all of what you put out, and what you put out is only to the people that you want it. It's fantastic.
175 is our snap streak right now, Brad.
My man, 175.
Jared was into really embracing TikTok, and in the beginning he was like, I'm going to just make an idiot out of myself on TikTok like everybody else because why not? But then you swung hard the other way.
Well, because what happened was I feel like any of the social medias are like, you set your mind out to do one thing and then it like sucks you in a whole nother world. So it's like I learned a lot about production on TikTok.
Right.
Like the producer.
Really?
Yeah, I learned so many that's one thing I really miss about it, frankly, is like I would learn so much about like, you know, monitors and miking and techniques and stuff like that. And it was really fascinating. But then you do this endless scroll, and then soon enough you're like, oh my gosh, so and so did the TikTok dance, and I'm just like, why do I care about this shit? Like I don't. And you just find yourself like sitting on the edge of the bed, like at 2 a.m. You're just like, and so I just was like,
I only had one fleeting moment with TikTok, and that was when everything was a cake.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I loved when everything was a cake. Is this live baby a cake? I don't know. Let's cut it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's honestly, I think it's really nice now to just, like, because I'm on Instagram for the studio and the band, and then it links to our Facebook, which I don't even check Facebook anymore.
Never, ever.
Yeah. Facebook is, having our mother-in-law visiting, we realized Facebook is for, like, your parents to check in on your friends from high school.
Right.
You know what I mean? It'll be like,
Yeah.
So
I see my social thing, and I don't know why I do this. I talk about it all the time. I can't stop watching like how to camp in sub-zero weather on
I'm a
YouTube.
fanatic.
I will never in my life do that. But I know how to camp in a tent, you know, in 30 below zero. I'm like, why am I watching
I like
Because
watching
you know,
the off-grid
again.
cabins on YouTube, so we might be watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even that stuff, you find yourself like all of a sudden in this brain fog, because I had YouTube on for our dogs were watching YouTube in their dog room, and and all of a sudden I found myself like it was on, and I walked in, and it was like rural cities in Missouri.
Oh, right.
And I sat there and I
know
watched
that
for
one.
like 25 minutes, and I was like, why do I give a fuck about rural cities in Missouri?
Exactly.
Why am I watching this? I got shit to
Exactly.
do.
I think you should ask your dogs the same question. I mean, they're the ones watching it.
That's true. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. I'm watching a guy cut vegetables in the back of his truck and it's 20 below zero. And I'm like,
What's
why
going
am I
on?
watching?
Yeah. So, you know, it's kind of freeing to like, you know, I'll get like some pop singer here and they'll be like, did you hear about so-and-so's? They said this and her and blah, blah, blah got split up. And it's really nice to just be like, I have no clue.
Yeah. Nope.
And you know, I was talking to a fellow Bonnaroovian friend the other day. We get beers on occasion, and he's like, what do you think about the latest rumor? I'm like, I have no idea. I honestly don't even know what day it is. I don't know what day I don't even know when the festival is. I am so disconnected from the world, and I don't. I know why you would do it in the middle of nowhere, but it just feels weird in the biggest city in the world to be so disconnected. And I realize it's because it's a very isolating existence. You know, we didn't buy one Christmas present for anyone this year, not one, not even for each other, because why? Sure,
Wait a minute. What about all the money we raised?
Well, I'm still working on yours.
Yeah. You made some promises.
Yeah.
To
I'm
Taco.
working on it. But we didn't do it because essentially, you can order things online. But if I don't walk directly past a store that is something I'm going to walk into and shop in, I'm not going. It's too far. It's too hard.
Do you ever leave your block? I feel like people in New York never like leave their block. They got everything that they need there.
Oh yeah, we go. Look, I just put out this morning. This is the list of shows since being in New York. This is the list of shows I've gone to since being here. I mean, I'm in like the 50s at this point. We go somewhere every day. We're doing something every day, but it's such like a point A to point B.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like stopping my train so I can get out and go shopping for anybody. It just feels like a weird existence, and not exactly what I was anticipating. Being so disconnected from everything.
That is interesting and makes sense, and is not something that would probably occur to most people, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah. Also, we don't. I operate TV a lot like your dogs do. I'll turn on something that makes no sense and watch it for 4 hours, and it's gotten me nowhere in life.
Yeah. They've watched the Weird Al movie twice. They love it.
Oh wow! I haven't even gotten to the Weird Al movie.
Well, there was a moment during the pandemic, like I would put on they were watching the classics, so I'd be like, Kristyn, I'm gonna put Forrest Gump on for the dogs,
They watched like The Sandlot. And we put a movie on for them every night for them to go to sleep to.
This is absurd, guys. Guys, the dogs don't know
That's
this.
funny.
One thing about
You don't know.
It's really fun for us though to go. What movie are they watching? Oh, I forgot about that one.
Is it just like a random like wheel that you could spin? Like if you walked in, another movie has started on a whim that you didn't set up for
there's
them.
a sleep timer, so.
Oh,
pretty
okay.
tight shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
They get 1 hour of a movie, 60 minutes.
Oh, they only get an hour of screen time.
We're not trying to rot their brain.
Gotcha. Do they get iPad time as well, or is it just it?
We keep it on a tight ship.
I will say there is a market for a live stream of dogs just watching TV. You could start
Sure.
it.
And then other dogs could watch that.
Yeah.
See, that's why he's who he is. He's
Kristyn
a
was into this
genius.
show for the longest time called The People's Couch.
Oh, I love
And
that
it's just a show where they have different families and like
Love
roommates,
that
and you watch them watching like the latest episodes of reality TV.
But their reactions
Wow.
are so funny.
It was very Black Mirror. It's great. Very, very
This is very-
dystopian.
This is very weird. This is very weird. I did actually have one question back to the album real quick. I hate that we just jumped around everywhere, but if you put out something like 27 songs and you've done this over the course of 2 years, is there one song in particular that you're like, I really, really, really want people to like this one?
Yes. And we
Which
both
one is
feel the same.
Which one? There's so many songs I have to remember.
Okay, anytime somebody asks what's our favorite song, do you all of a sudden not know?
But was it already a single? Was it
Yeah.
a single? Oh, well, okay.
What's the dog's favorite?
Was it Dearly Departed?
No, never mind, guys. I've been married to this person for 11 years.
Hold on.
Currently,
Hold on. Let
We've
me
been
look.
living separate lives.
Oh, yeah. I know which one. It's Trippin'.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I can't
Okay.
remember all the titles. There's
You
so many.
can't?
There's a lot of songs, man. I mean, just be honest, there's a lot of
That's
songs.
I wrote that song
hilarious.
like 3 years
That's
ago.
hilarious.
I can't. You know what I mean? What do you?
The guy who wrote and produced the album, I can't remember the titles.
No, there's definitely
I mean-
a song from the album that we sort of said from the get-go that we wanted to make regardless of, whether or not it was like the right song for
Yeah.
us to make stylistically but just this was a type of song that we wanted to have in our repertoire. And it's a type of song similar to songs that we would listen to and gravitate toward. So that song is Trippin', and what we love about that song is I feel like it is like a roller skating song. And I learned through making that song that I like songs that have kind of this like, you can roller skate too. But there's something about that song that kind of hit a lot of marks for us in terms of what we like, but isn't necessarily what's commercially viable. So we sort of knew that it was probably only going to be our favorite song. But anytime someone else goes, I really love Trippin', I think that's the song that we really feel like, oh, thank you.
Well, if you get the right influencer roller skating and put that song on TikTok at the same time,
True.
the sync is happening.
That's
The
true.
sync is happening. Guys, I love you guys so much. I'm so happy to see your faces. I'm so excited to see the space for the first time. I feel like as close to real life as it's going to get.
Let's see.
And
There's drums
are you guys?
over there? Let's see. There's the French doors with the view
Oh God.
and the couches, and
Yeah.
behind the thing is the kitchen. But I can't flip the
And it sounds pretty good, huh? I see the soundproofing on the walls. It sounds pretty good then, huh?
We had it built custom, so it's fully we paid for this fancy insulation,
Yeah.
and it's insulated from the roof all the way to the floor, and we've got all the sound
From the windows to the walls.
Yeah.
right,
Exactly.
double
Got
pane
it.
windows. It's all
There's
it's all
enough electricity in these 600 square feet for like a
5-bedroom
house. So there's a lot
Well-
of insulation and a lot of power. And
Well, the biggest question, of course, are we going to see you in June? Are you guys going to come down?
that's a great question. We have accumulated a camper since our last Bonnaroo, so it does become very
Ooh.
tempting. To
Brad's
bring
seen the
our
camper. I've shown him
I have seen the camera.
to Bonnaroo.
Well, yeah, we may.
This would be kind of
Okay.
the first year that we actually would be able to, because
We wouldn't be on
every
tour.
other year the 1 year we played it, and pretty much every other year since we've been on the road during that time.
Well, will you guys want to be a part of Camp Nut Butter?
I mean-
Do you want to come camp with us?
Come,
We're there.
come
You wanna bring the
join.
camper?
Come
Can you bring
join.
campers into that area?
I'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
I'd
We'll figure
bring
it out.
mine.
It's just a little guy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just a little
Just a little
pop up.
pop-up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Taco
Yeah.
brings a bus. It's,
right.
it's the same. It's the
Yeah.
same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we can
Do it.
Okay, we'll do
Let's
it.
do it.
That'd be
Are you?
fun.
All right.
Are you? Are
We'll
you
save
gonna
you a
be
spot.
there? Are you gonna even know when it is?
Yes, yeah. We'll see. I actually did talk to Evan Bonnaroo about this the other night. Because he drives down from New York. I'm not doing that. I just can't. But I will fly maybe into like Chattanooga and then rent a car, I guess, or get somebody to let me borrow a car. I don't really know. I haven't really worked it out. But yes, we are absolutely planning on being there this
I
year.
got extra cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a lot of cars.
Wait, what does our tour manager always put on our guest list? What's the name?
Oh,
Spaghetti Joe, Spaghetti Dan.
Spaghetti Dan. yeah.
So if we end up playing it, every show we always put one person on the guest list named Spaghetti Dan, so that
Spaghetti Dan.
if somebody knows that they can get into our show for free. So if we end up playing Bonnaroo, you could get a free pass in and just say you're Spaghetti Dan.
Are you guys actively talking about it?
Between the two of us, maybe, but that's about it.
Okay, all right. Has Joe not made that call? Have we not made the call yet?
I don't know that this is our year for
Okay.
our next comeback to it.
Okay, all right. Well, either way, I want you guys, please come down. And, I mean, you have tickets, so come down and camp at least a day. Come down for at least a night.
Yeah, that
Oh,
would.
we could
You're
totally
too
do that.
close not to.
Let's do it.
We'll do it. We'll come and see you guys.
Let's
if that's
do
the
it.
only
Okay.
way we get to see you in
Nice.
person, Brad.
Yeah, let's do it.
I know.
Because you
it's
won't
gonna be
come
really
visit
tough.
us. You never come visit us.
Boy, you're starting to sound like Hurricane Linda.
He'll-
You're starting to sound like
he'll-
my mom.
He'll
I knew that one.
he'll text me. He'll be like, "I'm in Tennessee." I'm like, "Don't tease me, bitch."
He's like, are you coming to visit?
He'll be like, "I'll be like, are you coming to visit?" And he's like, "No."
No. I'm just letting you know I'm in the same area code or the same zip code.
I'm like, "Cool, great, thanks."
Uh-huh.
At least you get those. Taco and I get, hey, my tire's flat.
Yeah.
Can you come fix it
Come
for
jump
me?
my car.
You
Come jump my
and-
car.
Yeah. There you go.
I've got a good family. Guys, I love you so much. Thank you for this, and thanks for the and really thanks for the album. And for anybody that's listening or watching, if you haven't spent some time with us, listen to about for 6-7 hours, and then you'll love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It only takes 6 or 7
The
hours.
whole season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then you'll love
I
it.
really know. I
Yeah.
couldn't say better things about this album. It is so good. And there's 27 songs on it, but I really legit think there are 5, 6, 7 incredible, maybe the best stuff you guys have ever put out on this record. So, Arrangements in and of itself is so good.
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
a lot
great
of fun.
album. It's a
It's
really
really
well
good.
done album.
Thank
And the
you
art
guys.
and
Love you.
the artwork's
Thanks
really good
for
too.
Always sort of understanding what we're trying to do and put out into the world, and
There'll be more. We're already working on new stuff. So
yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
you're a
I
machine.
picked up a new instrument.
Kristyn
really?
Kristen's learning bass.
Wow.
Yeah,
Look
I,
at you. That's very wet leg of you.
I wore, it was very dead of me. I'm wearing a dead shirt right now.
Oh, love the
Uh,
dead. Yeah.
Yeah, I picked up bass over, I guess it was like a couple months ago, but I don't know. I got really into it, and then I'm married to a music teacher, basically. So he has fostered that quite a bit, and then I got some Christmas presents to go along with it. So we're working on
So
stuff.
the next time you see us play live, you might see Kristyn
Oh,
slap.
very
Love it.
nice.
Slap
Love it.
So-
You're really close. He's gonna do it. Taco's gonna do the joke. He's gonna do the slapping it. Oh God, I can't.
Slap
Do
of the
it.
bass.
Do it. Okay.
Slap of the bass.
Thank you. I knew he was going to. All right, guys. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Love
Bye.
you. Bye.
Tell mom I
Thank
said hi.
you.
Tell mom I said hi.
Love you
Well,
guys.
Hurricane Linda.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Consequence Podcast Network.